So, 4 years ago, the doctors told me that I had chronic organ failure in a number of different organs and that I would never be able to heal myself. I'd be on medication for the rest of my life, the biggest one being my ovaries, that I'd never be able to have children. And here's how I healed myself with just using energy healing. So, my name is Emma. I'm an energy healer and a sensual embodiment coach. And my journey into doing what I do now basically started in my own body. 4 years ago, I was chronically sick. I was on over 10 chronic medications in my early 20s. And the doctors basically gave me a diagnosis that said I would never be able to heal. The biggest one that hit me was my ovaries. I had no bleed. I was infertile and I had PCOS, endometriitis. I was in a lot of pain and there was basically no way around it. So the doctors put me on so many different medications that basically what happened was my kidneys stopped functioning. Because I was on multiple medications for that, my kidneys gave in and I started to get kidney failure, which resulted in my thyroid starting to fail. So in my early 20s, in what should be a perfectly healthy, functional body, I was infertile. I was in horrendous amounts of pain. And I was suffering from weight gain, hair loss, emotional breakdowns, physical pain, couldn't walk, chronic fatigue, no bleeds, total hormonal imbalance. And of course, the diagnosis, it's never going to get better. You need medication to help yourself heal, and that's it. I then decided to endeavor on a journey where I realized that I was born into a body that by nature comes into homeostasis. And that if this body got sick, it must have the intelligence of how to be healthy. And with that concept in my mind, I decided to look at my body not as me, but to start to heal her as a object and me being the subject witnessing the object and beginning to move energy. It took a lot and a powerful process of basically deconditioning my brain, shifting through major fear. What happens if I don't heal? What happens if I come off medication and it's all wrong? What happens? All of the what ifs. But I started to realize that the more I leaned into a method and a journey that calmed my mind, shifted my limiting beliefs, and began to move energy through my body systematically, I began to heal. 4 years later, what I can say is that I am completely healed. I am fertile. PCOS is miraculously completely gone. Endometriitis, miraculously completely gone. Kidneys, completely healed. Thyroid, completely balanced. I lost over 30 kilos. My hair grew and thickened. Of course, skin glows, body functional. And not only that, but I was able to step into my fullness of my power. I opened myself to receiving life, to receiving my power within my body. I stopped outsourcing from everything outside of me and started to find that I am the source, that the source moves in me and through me and for me in my body. And I was able to begin to systematically heal myself. I want to give you a couple of my key takeaways and key points of how I began to do that. But the way that I healed myself was through energy healing, which for me back then sounded ridiculous. I grew up with a very Christian family, and yes, the power of God and all the rest, but actually, like, using energy, like sitting with your chakras and breathing, was very bizarre to me until I started to learn my own body and trust into her. Ultimately, when you're sitting with yourself and you're sick, it comes down to coming into your own power, because nobody else is going to be in this body for the rest of your life besides you. So the first thing I did was I sat down and I cleared myself to a place of being present. And then I began to learn what energy is. So technically speaking, I got into the science of it. Think of quantum physics and the theory of relativity and light waves. Light waves are both a wave and a particle depending on the perceiver, meaning that light has a density. It forms dense energy. So your body is basically a vibration of light waves that has formed into a densified frequency depending on how you are being. And this is why, for instance, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when you get happy, you lose weight. Or when you're in a really good environment, you glow. Your energy changes. What I started to understand in the more scientific version of it was when I went in to get scans done on all of the cysts, for instance, on my ovaries, they used an ultrasound. Now, ultrasound is basically pounding in sound waves, and these waves are bouncing off of other waves in your body that show energy in light. So your organs are a bit darker, the cysts are lighter, and what I realized is it's all little balls of energy that's basically waving and bouncing off other waves of energy from the sound waves and forming a picture, an image. So, with that in mind, I was like, okay, if this machine can push a sound wave into my body and create an image, what if I imagine I have energy in my hand that can push a wave of light that opens or stops densifying the dense energy in my body? Now, this is something that you're going to start to learn when you have a sickness or a disease. It's densified energy. It's energy that's been so stored in your system, wherever it is. So mine was my ovaries. I had so much pain in my life from my mother wound, from childhood trauma, from sexual abuse that had happened in my life, and it had all stayed in my ovaries, in my womb. It had densified and densified and densified until they shrunk, they got hard, they got cysts, they formed this thick lining that said, I don't feel safe to let go. And that was exactly how I felt emotionally and mentally and spiritually about my life: blocked, scared, and densified. So once I started to understand how my body was basically a mirror of my energy, my internal energy, my emotions, energy, and motion, I started to say, how can I begin to shift that? Well, it came down to these little hands. Again, a fun and powerful way to understand how energy works is that we are already bending the law of gravity. Gravity basically holds down densified objects and it keeps them on the ground. Your body is a densified object, but you're moving it, right? Of course, with your mind, thought. So, thought energy, which is untangible, you can't see your thoughts, you can't touch your thoughts, but it's moving through your consciousness, comes into your body, and it moves dense energy. It bends the law of gravity. So if you have that power already in you and you're not even aware of how powerful you are, that you're literally bending the force of an entire planet's gravitational pull every time you move, imagine beginning to draw that energy into your hands and push that energy into the densified energy in your body that is stagnant or sick. Well, it sounded weird to me, but that is where I began. I began to breathe and close my eyes and feel this energy in my hands. I began to draw my hands together, rub them, and it was a personal relationship with my body and with life. And at that point, I would take that energy and pour it onto my womb. And I would breathe and I'd be there just with my body, and I would start to feel it was like heat moving from my hands into my body. And I started to visualize with my eyes closed, just breathing softly, this energy shifting and moving and opening and healing my womb space, my organs. I didn't think much of it, but I decided to lean in. What I also realized is your body is connected to the planet, meaning that it's in space and time, just like our planet is. So it needs space and time to begin to integrate and recode neurologically and biologically new codes of perception and energy. And that's where epigenetics came in, which is basically the biology of belief. So I made it a daily practice. Put it down to simple terms: 10 minutes every morning. I started to breathe in this energy into my hands and place it into my womb. I started to see all of this energy melting away. I started to feel it in my hands. It was weird. Well, for someone who was told I would never bleed, always be infertile, never have healed ovaries, 48 days later from doing this practice each morning, my bleed came. I then went and got scans. All the cysts were gone, the endometritis gone. And I started to realize it doesn't have to make 100% sense. It works. Of course, the more I progressed in my journey, the more I studied the science, the maths, the leading back up, the research, of which there is so much. And I began to develop a method, which I called the sensual embodiment method, which basically includes bringing in your sensual and sexual energy, your life force energy, and moving it through your body to create space for your magnetism, for your healing, and for your fullness of power. This energy can shift your body, it can shift your limiting beliefs, it can shift whatever you want, and you begin to become the most powerful magnetic being on this planet. So if you're watching this video and you're curious to know more, please contact me, reach out on Instagram, mswain coaching. I am there. And if you are beginning to start your amazing journey and you are seeking a light to think, hey, is it possible to heal my body? I'm here to tell you it is. As someone who has had over 10 operations, who has been on end of life care, who has had multiple organ failures and been given terrible diagnoses, I fully healed my body, and you fully can too. You are inside a biological supercomputer, and it is talking to you to tell you where your blocks are, and it is beginning to seek to heal and alchemize you so that you can be in your fullness of power. Your energy and your ability to tap into your life force energy is what is going to transform not just your body, but your mind, your emotions, and your entire life trajectory. So if you're here and you're feeling that journey, my invitation is to lean in, to see your limiting beliefs, but to start to believe that you are part of something bigger. You're inside something more powerful than you could possibly begin to comprehend, and to begin to tap into your source energy for your healing. It is 100% possible. It is here for you, and it's ready for you to take that first step of faith and to leap in. So enjoy your journey. Reach out to me if this is landing for you and you want to know more. I'm so proud of you and excited for what's ahead.